Hello everyone, my name is Zeotrex, and today we're taking a look at Jurassic World Rebirth, the seventh film in the Jurassic series. We follow Scarlett Johansson, and on her quest to cure heart disease, they set out to collect three samples from three dinosaurs, where they crash land on an island that was the dumping ground for mutated dinosaurs, and that's all I really have to say about this plot. So, Jurassic World, or Park, the Jurassic series, it's a franchise that I've kind of grown, really, tired of, and I think Dominion kind of killed it. I've been in my review, I openly bashed. I don't think I was as harsh as I think I should have been during that review, because I think in that review I said JP3 was the worst. No, I actually changed my mind. Dominion is the worst because of just what it did with the movie before, what it did with Fallen Kingdom, and kind of backtracking and just I really started to hate that movie for what it did and just wasting a lot of time. And so when Rebirth was announced, I really felt nothing of interest. But when marketing started coming out for the movie, I was immediately getting tiny bit excited for it because it did look different, it did look refreshing and new. But I had to keep my expectations low. When the Rotten Tomatoes scores came out and it was like a 50%, I was like, okay, I kind of expected something like that. Disappointing, sure. Um, but I kept my expectations low. And so, how was it? How was the movie? Um, I can't really say it was disappointing, but that's because I had low expectations. It is the very definition of a mediocre movie. It had its good moments, it had bad moments. It just has right enough of good, right enough of bad that it balances it out and just makes it like the most mediocre movie I've ever seen. I sat in the theater, I ate my popcorn, I watched it. It was a packed theater too. It's just also kind of annoying that it was a packed theater, but I don't really think it's like a big event or whatever. I watched it. We got out of the theater. We went home, got McDonald's on the way, and kind of just sat there, watched a review to see what people thought of, and then I got on Rivals. It really, it really did not leave that much of an impact on me. I just hate to say. Um, I mean, it's not a film that I regret watching. It's not like, oh, I wasted my money. I wish I didn't see that. And I kind of just walked out. I looked at my dad and I was just like, well, that was a movie that we just watched. So let's get into its pros. Let's get into what I did like about the movie, and that was its directing. So Gareth Edwards, who had directed the 2014 Godzilla movie, comes in and does Jurassic World, and I do think that works a lot in its favor because its visual style and the set pieces that we have. For example, there's a raft scene with a T-Rex. I'm glad they adapted that from the book, but just kind of the visual style, the lighting, the tone that they attempt, and they do succeed in that scale of dinosaurs, especially with this new mutant dinosaur, the D-Rex, who I'll talk about a bit later. But I do think his visual style does add a lot to the movie, and it does kind of impose that fear of dinosaurs again. All right, that's all. I I okay. There's another thing. There's two more things that I do want to say that I liked, and that was it did bring this sort of sense of awe and wonder. There's this scene with forgot the name of the dinosaur. It was like a big long necked dinosaur. There was a scene like that that kind of mimicked the brachiosaur, the long neck from the first movie, and they play the music and all that, and I thought that scene was like whatever. I thought that scene was kind of cool. It was kind of magical, and because of the character who was involved, it's like, yeah, that would be kind of special. This guy growing up liking dinosaurs, now finally seeing a dinosaur up close like that. That's kind of cool. And even though I just said it kind of referenced it, this movie is not afraid to just be its own film. and I really like that. That's something that I really disliked about the Jurassic World trilogy, the Chris Pratt trilogy, was that it had to rely a lot on like the old movies to kind of like get you interested in them, right? Hey, let's bring in Rexy, the original T-Rex. Let's let's bring in Sam Neill and Jeff Goldblum. Let's bring in everyone, and I think it was the worst in Dominion, in my opinion. It wasn't so bad in the first movie because they didn't really do that, and then in the second movie they had Jeff Goldblum, but the third movie I think it was at its worst. They're not bad actors, and it was cool seeing them again after so long. God, no, I just realized this is just turning into a Dominion rant. We're talking about Rebirth. We're not talking about but I'm glad that Rebirth, while it like references Alan Grant. It plays the music, which what I'm not gonna say that's nostalgia baiting. I'm just gonna say that's like that. That's just the theme of the series, and like there are like some visual references, like these mutandons, these mutant raptors. There's a scene very reminiscent of the kitchen scene, but it is able to stand on its own 2 feet for most of it. And yeah, again, that's honestly all I can really say about it. um the movie barely offers much. A lot of it is just these two like groups of characters kind of just walking around. Okay, no, this is like something that I dislike. They introduced this little baby lizard, like Tyrannosaurus, not Tyrannosaurus, Triceratops, called the Loris, and that thing only exists so they can get some plushies out in Walmart. Has it succeeded? Probably not. I do wonder how this movie is going to do at the box office, because Dominion and I think Fallen Kingdom. Let me look it up. Jurassic World box office, because that first one made a lot of money. 208 million for the first one, which I guess is not bad. Fallen Kingdom got 1.3 billion, and Dominion got like 2 billion, didn't it? 1.4 billion, near. Okay. And this one has so far raked in 133 million, so 30 million. Okay. I wonder how it's gonna do, because it's also gonna be up against Superman and Fantastic Four, so there's that as well. Honestly, might not do as well. But yeah, a lot of the movie is just them kind of just walking around the island and getting into these small encounters. Very predictable. It's like, okay, we checked this one off, we checked this one off, and while I did say that I liked the style of the action scenes, I don't think they're as exciting. And I think it might just come down to how I felt about the series, and kind of just like, it's yeah. If I had like any strong negative about the movie, like something that I genuinely just like really disliked, I'd say it's the villain. The villain, who, let me double check, is played by Julian McMahon. Uh Henry Loomis, Rupert Friend, Jonathan Bailey was. Huh, okay, never mind. He's not in this movie. Wait. In huh. Okay. My bad. I thought he was in this movie. He's not. So, the main villain is this. We've seen it before. It is how many times can we do this? Evil rich man who will desert and betray the main characters for money. We saw it in the first movie with Dennis Nedry. I mean, he technically didn't betray the characters, but he was out for the embryos so he could get money. We saw it in the second film. We technically saw it in the third film, and then we just continue to see the same old fucking villain. And it's especially like in Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, it's like how many times can we do the same damn thing? And that's where that's what I really disliked about it was that like it was so predictable. You know the guy's gonna get eaten by a T-Rex, or in this case the D-Rex. And yeah. And another thing I want to mention that which is a bit weird, the death scenes in this, um the way that characters die in this movie is super underwhelming. There's like no reaction to these characters like dying or like any big fanfare. It's like the dinosaur gets them and that's it. That I felt was super weird and underwhelming. I mean, there was a kill at the beginning with the D-Rex that I thought was that I did think was a lot more interesting. That was well shot and well directed, but a majority of it is kind of just really underwhelming. I'm not expecting like gore or anything, but if you compare it to how you know they've died in this series before, like getting eaten off the toilet or getting thrown up and chewed around by two T-Rexes. There's stuff like that that makes it worthwhile. So yeah, and let's talk about the D-Rex. I think it was pretty disappointing. A great design. I think it has a great design. It is like a cross between like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, a Rancor, a Xenomorph, and I love this. I just love how it is shot, how it looks. There's a lot that works with it. Again, Gareth Edwards makes this thing look massive, but we spend so little time with it that it kind of feels like a last minute thing, which it probably wasn't, but it feels like a last minute thing that shows up at the end and kind of like, oh yeah, that thing. Kind of, because like think back to the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor, or the other villain dinosaurs like the Spinosaurus or like the Raptors. They had a presence throughout the entire film. They would show up and terrorize our main antagonist, and this is kind of what I didn't like about Dominion either, although the D-Rex beats the Gigasaurus here, is it doesn't really have that much of a presence. It just shows up near the end and kind of like yeah, I kind of wish that maybe the D-Rex showed up a little bit more throughout the film. And I know this is like a contradicting like point that people are making, that there's not enough like dinosaur action in this movie, which I don't think is the issue. God, I gotta get some lighting. Um, I just think that they could have done a better job at setting this guy up to be like a genuine threat, because there's a shot where where he eats a search helicopter, and the reveal that was genuinely really fucking good. Like that was one of the coolest shots in the movie, and that's kind of what made me like locked in for this final act. It was like, okay, you know what? They're gonna do some great things with it, and then it kind of just ends. And another thing, the dinosaurs kind of do just play their part in this movie, and I know it's so weird. This is seriously what it means. It's like I have the feeling about it, but I don't know what to say about it. And another thing that bummed me out with this movie was it kind of just at the beginning of this movie we see another long neck. Sorry guys, I'm not a dinosaur nerd or something. We see another long neck kind of dying in the city, and I was like, you know what? That's okay, cool. We're actually gonna show dinosaurs living in our world again, and they do. They actually do that because that family who I was talking about, they were on a boat and they were kind of like, what if there's like dinosaurs out here? I do kind of like stuff like that, and they get attacked by the Spinosaurus and the Mosasaurus and all that. And I do another thing I like about the Spinosaurus. I do like that they made them a aquatic species here, um, because I think like it was recent years, like of course way after the third movie came out, where they kind of discovered it was an aquatic species. Whereas before, like when the Jurassic Park 3 came out with the Spinosaurus, we thought it was a land species. Dinosaur nerds, correct me about that. I'm not a paleontologist. Um, but yeah, when we get to the island, it just feels like okay, we're back on another dinosaur island. We're back in this. habitat meant for dinosaurs, you know? And again, this is what I fucking hated about Dominion was we put ourselves in a location where dinosaurs were supposed to be as to compared to like us seeing what it's like to live with a dinosaur. I guess we're just never gonna. I just guess we're never gonna get a proper follow up to that Fallen Kingdom ending. I don't know. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. You know, I complained more about Dominion in this review more than I talked about the actual movie because there's not really much to say about it. If you like it, hey, I get it. Okay, there's a lot to like. If you dislike it, I also get it. And yeah, this is a much shorter review, unlike my Ironheart review, where there I had an entire issue that I needed to talk about. Yeah, it's not a bad movie, but it's not an impactful one. Because I don't want to say it's not a good movie. I think rewatching it might help. I think this is a film that I might need to watch again to sort of like understand not understand, but yeah, it is the very definition of a C, which is the ranking it gets. And so, yeah, that's it. A shorter review after the Iron Heart one because there wasn't a serious topic that I needed to go on about. But my next review after this should be Superman. And I can't believe I just said that. Can't believe it's nearly a week until that movie comes out. We have our tickets, and until then, rawr.